get into it, I got a secret weapon, and I'm going to pull the plug on you. Terry Taylor used that sleeper. Even Kamala, with the sleeper cutting off the carotid arteries. He can't stand up. If Taylor can put him to sleep, it shows the genius of the young champion. He knows he can't compete one-on-one. The 387 pounds is too awesome. There goes Carl Fergie as Kamala cuffs him to the head, and a cuff from Kamala is like a lion. It could break your neck. There you see Akbar. He can't stand it. He's on the apron. No disqualification. The North American title stake. Akbar jabs the end of that riding crop, the handle in, the leaded end, into Terry Taylor's throat. It's like a vicious, weighted judo chop. You see Carl Fergie on the floor. You see Kamala stoically, viciously hammering Terry Taylor. Now Akbar giving Kamala the signal, as Akbar has him totally under his control now. Terry Taylor got rid of Friday. He only had to face Kamala and Akbar, but Akbar still had to interfere. Now Kamala goes to the top. That 400-plus pounds, that ponderous bulk, trying to get to the top. If he comes off, Terry Taylor's career could be over. Hacksaw Duggan, Terry Taylor's secret weapon. Nobody knew it. Jim Duggan snuck in down there and was ready, and he said the only reason he came in the ring is because of Akbar, and everybody knows how bad Duggan hates Akbar as you see him shattering that board, driving Akbar and Kamala out of there, coming to the rescue of his friend Terry Taylor. Terry Taylor asked for no quarter and gave none. He just wanted it one-on-one, and Akbar still had to interfere. And Duggan said he's not putting up with Akbar anymore. Akbar's got to go just like Dibiase had to go. There you see Kamala, knowing that Duggan is an awesome force alone, much less with a 2x4. And look at this crowd. Downtown New Orleans, rocking and rolling like it used to in the old days. Look at the people. Hacksaw Duggan, standing tall, walking tall. Terry Taylor, certainly the victor, Terry Taylor, because he had Kamala in that sleeper. Kamala helpless in the middle. Terry Taylor clearly had come to this showdown and has withstood the test and the friendship of Duggan and Taylor and Duggan's animosity for Akbar. Terry Taylor given back the belt by Carl Fergie, who must have an Excedrin headache right about now for that cuff from Kamala. But it's pandemonium again. I haven't seen that. I was there. It was great to see it in downtown New Orleans. The Municipal Auditorium, Mid-South, is going on. Bigger and better than ever.
This is the Pro Wrestling Reflection Podcast with your host, the Professor Chalbello Veracruz.
What a run!
Mr. Wonderful Tommy Wonder.
And I will take the powers of those that have no fear!
And the prodigal one, JB.
The queen, yeah. The cream of the crop.
Now it's time to go back in time in the time machine.
The American Dream! Dusty Rhodes! Too sweet!
The living legend, Bruno Sammartino.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. To be the man, you gotta beat the man. Woo! Look at this. He's I don't believe it.
What is going on there, Reflection Nights? What is going on there to the big Vitoites, the Haminites, all the ites out there, the left, the right, the them repebs? What's going on to the Magnificent 7, the Elite 8, the Naughty 9, the Terrific 10? You know who you are. And this is the most nostalgic podcast out there for the IWC, YWC, PWC pundits out there. It is your favorite podcast. For the 12, it is your favorite podcast. The Pro Wrestling Reflection Podcast, the PWR Podcast, here on the Hameen Media Group at Podbean.com, and of course on the PWC with Jimmy T and Chris Hambones and Jeff Lippman on the Podbean streams there. And if this gets uploaded by 8-Track Round, the dirtiest of the city, it will be available on the PWSL networks on the YouTubes. But before we get into the episodic episode here, before we get into episode 169, I must introduce myself because I am so vain like that. I need to stay young and pretty. Oh, so pretty, as Dusty Rhodes always would say. I am the most charismatic one. I am the most scholarly one. I am the most stupendous one. And I am the most glorious one. The only objective man in the IWC. The only objective man in this political spectrum. I'm more fairer than Tucker Carlson. I'm more fairer than Don Lemon. I'm more fairer than anything out in mainstream media. I'm more fairer than all the alternative media mumbo jumbo on Spotify too. It's your friend of mine, the Professor Chabelle Cruz. And I'm not here alone. No. I am here with my brother from another mother. I think he's rocking the Kid Rock cowboy hat here, and it just looked like that to me on the screen. But he is your friend of mine, Mr. Frickin' Stein himself, Mr. Wonderful, Dum Doing Idiot Soul. Tommy Wonder, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. We got to say hi to the Illegal 11, the Tasty 12, and the Thirsty 13, too. We can't forget them.
No, you can't forget them at all. Yeah, well, if there is more people then bring them on. We could always, increase the size from 12 to 13 to 14 to 15. I will take all comers. I am so inclusive like that. It is. I
will tell you though that you mentioned two people being released from their respective networks. Mm-hmm. One, I believe, will immediately go to Newsmax, and the other one probably MSNBC, or they'll give him that dude. Who's the guy that got his career just took a shit because he was rude to a restaurant? James Garsden. I don't know what the hell. The late night talk show guy.
Oh, James Cordon or something like
that.
So
Don Lemon will probably get his job because that's where CNN wash-ups go, is to late night talk shows. But I got to tell you, you claim to be the most objective one. You forgot to mention your biggest claim to fame. The man with the most dudes in his DMs on Twitter, the Professor.
Where the hell did I ever claim that? And how the hell you got receipts?
Well, you don't have to claim it. You're being modest. But I'm saying it's one of your credentials, and you always forget it. So, but
sliding into the DMs is with the females, the biological females. I knew you were going to say trans. I know how you are right now, so don't even try to.
No, I'm just saying it doesn't excuse the fact that you still have the most dudes in your DMs too sliding in there. No lube. But
this is the man that found Big Ray's grinder and has been going back and forth corresponding.
Nice segue because I'm about to give props to Big Ray again. Number one followed man on Grinder, but he was happy about both Tucker and Don Lemon being let go. He wasn't happy about just one. He was happy about both. So that, my friend, is objective. That's someone who hates both polarizing figures. And then,
truth be told, I laughed at both too. So that's the way I felt.
Well, he made a public statement about it. So I didn't say you weren't objective. I'm just saying he also is objective. And I was surprised to see that, because I'll tell you what, I don't watch enough of any of them to have an opinion on them that would be definitive. I do know this. I feel the same way about Tucker as I do about Trump. I would never, ever hang out with either one of them, because I know it would end in me humbling them, because I'd have to they would
educate them.
They would say something to me to try to burn me, and I would just have to show them why I was the best there ever was in Detroit middle school, and I would embarrass them. But I love that they're not afraid to say the shit that everybody else is afraid to say. I'm saying it's always right, but I'm saying, I told you this before, I believe Stone Cold Steve Austin's popularity is because he did to his boss what we always wish we could do to ours. And I believe their popularity is they say shit that people go, you can say that? And because they didn't think you could. And they've been trying to cancel him, whatever. I've been hearing a lot of anti-Fox sentiment from conservatives. So I wouldn't be surprised. Same with Dan Bongino. They're all going to go to Newsmax. Fox News is owned by a liberal. So really, it's the liberals playing their people on both sides with the MSNBC, CNNs, and Fox News. I don't know enough about Newsmax to know what they're doing.
It really sounds like professional wrestling, because that's the way the bookers are. They feed the fans all the recipes of both sides, and then you know what? you see how it's booked, and then it sprinkles in, and then, you got Wrestlemania, you got Starrcade. It just goes apropos.
I think they're both going to end up somewhere. And so all these people that are celebrating today, it's comical to me. Now,
when you got Spotify, when you got Podbean, when you got the podcast realm,
you said they've made him. He's going to end up on Spotify and make $100 million just to sign with them. So and so you get it. And Ray, even though he said bye-bye to both of them, he also knows. And he's somebody who follows both of those guys because he talks about it on podcasts. I'm talking about the people on our Facebook who don't know shit about shit, who either are celebrating that Lemon got fired, P.S. he hasn't been on TV in weeks, and others celebrating Tucker, and then also steamrolling it by saying, oh, Hannity's still on TV, and just people who are parroting. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They have no idea why they're mad at those guys. They just know they're supposed to be. So it's funny to me because they're going to end up back on something else. And then I want to see everyone's tears. Oh, my God, I can't believe they're on TV. Well, if you don't watch it, why do you care? It's stupid.
The sheeple are sheeple.
Bingo.
That's all.
Bingo.
That's all
it's funny to me. But this is not a Kid Rock hat. Not that I would have a problem with that. But this is the hat that, you know me, I'm the king of peacocking. I took the mantle from my great peacocking role model, Scotty O. He's no longer out there hitting these streets peacocking. He settled down with the lady. So now I'm out here peacocking. That's why I wear the loud colors, the red shoes, the gold
peacocking.
shoes.
That sounds a little Grinder-esque, but that's a
no.
Okay.
That docking is Grinder-esque. But this hat, every time I told someone I was going to buy this hat, it's red, white, and blue, but it's like aged. I don't know what the hell it is. It's not white. It's like, like weathered. But every single person I said I was going to buy this hat told me not to. That's when I knew I had to. And now I'm wearing it.
What?
You got your choice.
I don't need to stretch it, but I guess people are being sheeple to tell you not to buy it. People are trying to restrict you from buying something that you have the freedom in this country to buy. So what?
But here's the thing. If they don't want me to buy it, it's because they have an opinion on it. So if I wear it out and about in the public domain, someone else will also have an opinion about it. And if it's negative, there's no such thing as bad press.
I know, the stereotype is you stormed the Capitol and then you got off scot-free. So neither here nor there. But, that's how entertaining it is.
I would never storm a Capitol because it's fucking futile. I didn't care what they did.
With that hat on, that's the stereotype. You stormed the Capitol, or you was trying to kidnap your beautiful governor of Michigan.
There were times when I wanted to hit that when she wears that Darth Vader leather outfit out there, the press conference.
You see the song? Well, but anyway, we gotta get back
before we go.
Oh shit!
Speaking of Ray.
Oh damn it! Is it that time? Or is it that time? Is it already
today?
Yep. Time flies.
All right, we ready?
I'm not. Wait. For the audio reflection, I said don't get to see the video, the visuals. TW, it's that time of month. He is a Pro Wrestling Crate member, and now he is unboxing and revealing to all the Reflectionites out there what. Well, he already told us on the last podcast, about a month ago, what he was expecting. So hopefully he will be happy. And hopefully, maybe Adam Cole will somehow mysteriously appear on this Pro Wrestling Crate. If it's via the shirt or via
not going to be a shirt.
Figure. And the first thing is an Owen Hart King of Hearts shirt. That's like, that's a New Japan Owen Hart look.
That's his year 65. I like the color of this one. Let me take these sunglasses off. It's distorting my view. I like the color of this. I just don't know who it is. Oh, it's your boy. It's actually not a bad shirt.
It's my boy? Well, what organization is my boy? Oh, that's nice.
This is nice.
That's a Taz Tampa Bay Buccaneers shirt.
Path of Rage. Human Suplex Machine.
I don't know if Taz would like that shirt because of the Tampa Bay Bucks, but, maybe with Tom Brady.
But he's a Buck pirate, so he probably does like the fact that he's a pirate.
Oh, you gonna wear it?
Tom Brady. That's exactly why I like it. It's a little bit of both.
Oh, you're gonna wear it though.
Good. If this, hell yeah, I'm gonna wear it.
Okay. What is that?
The Young Bucks are a pin. Thankfully, they weren't. I'm a little disappointed. I see Adam Cole.
That is either going to the trash or you're gonna give that away so easily, so that you will not have that in your house. American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Looks like a Power Rangers. Oh, looks like a Power Rangers ring. Micro Brawler. Greg. Another one? How many Hammer Valentines?
No, the Hammer Valentine was the hammer. The little.
Oh, okay. It always seems like you get you get the same Greg the Hammer Valentine stuff, or you get multiples.
Now, I'm not. You know what? I've come around on this guy. I don't hate him, but you know I wear these kinds of sunglasses. These are some fake Ray-Bans. But do you know whose they are?
No. Who is that? Oh, the Orange Cassidy sunglasses.
Somewhere is his hand.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
Somewhere is his hand.
Well, I'm sure you're gonna wear them during a basketball game or a hockey game in Detroit in the upcoming season,
and then throw them on the ice. Oh, I got my season. I got half a season. And last but not least, who's my 8x10? I don't remember who the other guy was.
Well, it ain't Adam Cole, so that's for damn sure. And he's not happy, Reflectionites. Repo Man. Very Darso.
I would have been happier with frickin' Smash. But these, I condensed them all to 2 boxes. One box is 8x10s, DVDs, and whatever the hell the other things I do in there, gimmicks. And the other box is the pins and the patches and the whatever. And then the T-shirts, so I took them all out because I think I'm gonna sell some of them. I ain't ever gonna wear.
So in closing, TW, on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied were you with this unboxing?
This is a 5.
A 5? I thought you were
5.
Damn.
I like the Owen shirt. I like the Taz shirt. I like the Micro Brawler. The pin, I'm happy that it's not. I'm not happy or sad. That's what I mean by 5. I'm not.
You're indifferent to that.
Indifferent.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, Repo Man was automatically going to be. Yeah. So next month, Lucha Brothers, those your boys, Claudio Castagnagli, I don't know how to say it, Cesaro, who was one of my favorite wrestlers. Now he's absolutely disappeared from my radar on AEW. I'm very, very let down by it. William Regal, the Acclaimed, Matt Seidel, is he still there?
Yeah, on Dark and Elevation.
Wow. Road Warriors and your favorite wrestler of all time, Dean Ambrose. It's not what it says though. This one's indifferent.
So this month's a 5. Next month's gonna be a 3. Reflection. I'm already calling it. So with that being said, that has been the unboxing or the revealing of TW's Pro Wrestling Crate. But now we must get into what we do best here. What this show is all about. What Big Ray Hernandez, the executive producer extraordinaire, his brainchild, wanted to bring to the masses. If 12's a mass, then so be it. But anyway, neither here nor there. This is episode 169, and we are going back to TW's favorite organization. It wasn't called UWF at this time in 1985, per se, but it is Bill Watts Mid-South Wrestling from, the territories that Bill Watts controlled to a degree, TW, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Houston, Texas, TW. This is your favorite organization. I know it was more favorite because when it was called Universal Wrestling Federation, it was bigger in your humble opinion. Mid-South Wrestling felt regional, felt territorial, but the characters were there. And the funny thing about picking this episode, TW, and I just wanted to say this first before we even delve into this, is the timing of this episode is April, I think, 25th, Reflectionites, of 1985. What happened about a couple of weeks after this episode aired, TW? Wrestlemania 1 premiered. So
he mentioned that on the show.
And the reason I also think that is because the president, the CEO, the founder, whatever you want to call it, TW, Bill Watts, every week when he is on Mid-South television, he had to make it a point to take pot shots at Vince McMahon. He knew who the enemy was. He knew that he was not sports entertainment. His organization and his guys were professional wrestlers, were real athletes. He took digs at Vince McMahon weekly and wanted to make a point of it. Also, in this episode, Reflection Nights, I want to say this. We're not going to go segment by segment because some of the matches were just kind of feeders, builders to a degree. But there was one or two matches that had some high stakes value, TW, and we'll talk about that. But I want to talk about Bill Watts first, TW, and you can retort back. But there was one thing that he said that was prevalent. Of course, like I said, he took pot shots at Vince McMahon. He took pot shots at Mr. T. He's like, we're not cartoon characters. We're not cartoon characters here. We are professional athletes. This is real. What they do in Connecticut, what they do in New York is Hollywood showmanship. He talks about it's real wrestling, it's real injuries, it's a real sport. So what say you, TW, about Bill Watts not only, keeping the curtain of professional wrestling closed to a degree as best as he could, but of course, certain people are in the WWF at this time. JYD, one of his big sellers, is there. Tito Santana, he nestled in Mid-South a time or two. So, what say you about him trying to not only sell his product, but defend professional wrestling at the same time?
It's funny, it's even deeper than that, because at the end of this episode, there's a video celebrating Dibiase coming back from his suspension. And who are the people in the video that he's beating up? Junkyard Dog, Tito Santana, Andre the Giant, and he says he took out some heavy hitters in there. I do think there were shots taken at Vince, but this particular segment, I think he was banding together as a business, like all of them together, because he talked about the 2020 incident, and he said you had three guys on there who went on there, and he gave a bad representation of it, unless that was a follow-up and not the John Stossel situation where maybe Vince sent three guys there to say it was entertainment or whatever. But I felt like he was defending it. He said, he made instant celebrities out of Hollywood stars, which I liked what he said, because he was almost saying they were Hollywood stars, but now because they were in wrestling, they're bigger stars. So I liked that he did that. And I
wait, hold on. You don't think that's a pot shot? Because he's saying it's easier that those Hollywood guys went in and got turned into wrestling stars.
That's what I'm saying. He's saying that Wrestlemania made them bigger. So it's not a shot at Wrestlemania, it's a shot at Hollywood stars, right? And he said New York's doing their thing.
I think no, because he's saying that his guys that are in Mid-South are the real athletes. His guys and the people in the WWF are pussies. And pantywaist. And Mr. T.
I feel like the point of that thing was to say fuck 2020. That's what I got out of it. Like
I got fuck 2020, fuck John Stossel, and fuck Vince McMahon, because Mid-South is the real deal. But that's just me. Go ahead, TW. I'm sorry.
But don't throw nobody over the top rope, and don't come off the top rope. That's horrible. Which I get it, because he probably thinks they're fake. Like coming off the top rope and someone laying in the ring waiting for you to come off the top rope. Well, it's not real.
TW, we know logistically that at this time he's still in partnership with the National Wrestling Alliance, and that is still one of those stupid traditional rules.
He's the dumbass that brought it back to the NWA when it was gone. And
no, it never was gone. It got gone in the late 90s.
Listen to me. When he got brought in as the commissioner of the NWA, the first two things he did was, if you get thrown over the top rope, it's an instant disqualification. And
it was always going to be.
If you come off the top rope, you're disqualified.
That was the alternative. That was the new rule that he brought in. But
right,
again,
but people didn't enforce the top rope rule, is what I'm saying. He said we're going to enforce it. Now I like it because that's a territory, if you will, because it was a territory at the time. Ric Flair, what was his shtick as champion? He didn't win, but he lost by cheating or disqualification or countout, right? So throwing someone over the top rope is cheap heat way to lose, but keep your belt. So I liked it as an option. And also they teased the crowd by throwing guys over the top rope when the referee didn't see it and stuff like that. But when it's just any everyday match, let's just say hypothetically today, WWE, say they recognize that rule. You know how many fucking young guys are going to accidentally throw a guy over the top rope because they forgot about that stupid rule?
All of them.
Yeah. And then they were like, oh, shit, we got to disqualify him now. And it would ruin wrestling. But I digress.
And the top rope rule would ruin AEW and the Indies. So it goes either way.
One other guy got who was also in New York by now, got put on a video clip too, and it was pretty impressive, was King Kong Bundy. And Dr. Death Steve Williams caught him in the corner and basically a 360 power slam, but picked him up and held him, and they pinned him with it. That must be how Bundy left, because he was gone after that.
No, that was back in 1983, but I know what you're talking about. It was and it was Dr. Death Steve Williams.
I thought it was a recent match.
No, it was Dr. Death Steve Williams' rookie year, as Bill Watts said, in 1983, just showing how strong he is. I was looking at that video. I was waiting for him to press King Kong Bundy. Yeah. Then I would have said, "Oh shit!"
He did that to One Man Gang twice. He did a double.
You saw it. I never saw it, so I wish you bring. That was in the cage. Bring me the clip of that. That's all I did. That's your homework assignment.
No, the cage was Duggan versus One Man Gang, and Duggan lost, and he went to WWF.
But you know who can do this? TN Couponer. That will be your homework assignment. Yeah. If this gets uploaded via YouTube on the PWS networks, TN Couponer, I'm calling you out. If you can find me at Dr. Death Steve Williams pressing One Man Gang over his head, please help me, the professor, out. Send that tweet to me and TW respectively. But anyway, that's his homework assignment. But neither
a lot of dead guys on this show.
I knew you was going to say that too. God damn it.
That's almost 40 years ago. It's understandable.
You want to depress a lot of people right now. You want to depress the 12, but neither here nor there. But I want to get back to
13.
Yes, I want to get back not only to what Bill Watts is trying to do in selling the Mid-South wrestling, but since you talked about Dr. Death Steve Williams, the people that already left, JYD left, and we don't have to talk about the exodus of people that left for New York TW for the big payday. And of course, Wrestlemania 1 was a success. But I want to ask you this question because, again, this is your organization. And it kind of dawned on me when I'm looking at this episode here. The North American champion Reflection Nights at this point in time was Terry Taylor, TW. One of your guys, untapped potential. You kind of respect him. You love the technical prowess of Terry Taylor. And that belt kind of looks like an AEW heavyweight championship.
That's why you picked it.
I didn't pick it because of that, but there's a reason why I picked it, because there's a lot of things in this episode, in my humble opinion, that kind of dawned on the Professor TW. And I want you to follow me here, because again, Bill Watts is trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? TW, he's trying to keep up with Vince McMahon and his expansion. He has still some guys that he can lean on, that can sell out, the Louisiana Auditorium, the Oklahoma Civic Center, all this stuff. But I felt that, he relied too heavily on somebody like Dr. Death Steve Williams. He relied too heavily on someone like Ted DiBiase. He really relied too heavily on Terry Taylor, and he's the North American champion, which it means he's the number one contender for Ric Flair and the NWA title. My question, and I looked at this, TW, and I'm not, and this could be hindsight, but I think he dropped the ball and not giving, let's say, the torch, if you will, to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I think Hacksaw Jim Duggan, because of the spectrum and the landscape of professional wrestling, especially in the mid-'80s, whether Bill Watts wanted to agree with it or not, Ric Flair in the NWA is showmanship. World class, the Von Erichs, Tiger Beat, showmanship. But the visual is there. And of course, you can't go wrong in WWF with Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania. That's showmanship. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, out of the cast of people that were there, had untapped potential showmanship in comparison to Dr. Death, in comparison to Terry Taylor.
He had charisma, is what you're saying.
He had charisma. So I think the torch should have been given to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He should have been the UWF champion. He should have been the North American champion or something. Everything should have leaned on him. He could have been the Mid-South Dusty Rhodes. What say you in your humble opinion?
It's because all the way up to Mid-South, I just mentioned it. He wrestled One Man Gang in a steel cage match on regular TV. I remember they said it was the very first ever steel cage match on free TV, right? Okay. And if he won, he was UWF champion. If he lost, he had to leave. And then next thing you know, he was at WrestleMania 3. But or smoking weed with Iron Sheik on I-75. But yeah, I loved him. He's a little bit goofy, but he's basically, and I didn't notice it until you started talking about it right now. I never realized it. He was the Hillbilly Jim of the UWF Mid-South. He was always the champion's buddy because he's here helping Terry Taylor out. That's why he's there. But it's funny you say they never gave him the ball, because Eddie Gilbert gave him props. Tom Pritchard in a match against him on this show, leaves the ring, gives him props, and said, I've seen what he's done, and I got out of there before he did it to me, which is true heel heat, right? Because almost every guy that lost a match in here, I'm sitting here wondering, are these guys jobbers at this point? Or are they up and coming, like Jack Victory, Tom Pritchard?
I would say up and coming.
One of those jobbers, I think, was Wild Bill Irwin before he was an Irwin brother, which by 85, I thought he
wasn't on the show this week.
Then this guy just looked like him. He was the guy in the tag match against, I believe it was Nord the Barbarian, but he was just called the Barbarian, and Jake the Snake, who's wrestling in sweatpants. P.S. The DDT Jake the Snake gave that jobber when Nord the Barbarian pinned the other guy was the stiffest DDT I've ever seen. And then I wasn't even sure the guy was knocked out for real.
That's back when the DDT was special.
Right. But he killed him. He pulled his arm out before they even hit the ground, and the dude just levels his head. Then Jake sits on his ass and kicks him out of the ring.
Well, hold up. That's not the question, though. My question was about Duggan.
Well, I went on a fucking tirade, but my point is,
that's what I love about you.
All these guys got all these title reigns, and Duggan was always their fucking wingman. He was their Mr. T. He never won a belt, but he was always there to make sure they didn't lose theirs. And it's sad now that you say it. And my whole point of that match where he lost that one-man gang, I was bummed out the rest of the weekend. I was like, man, he's gone. But then I was happy as a pig and shit when he came running down the aisle on Superstars with the 2x4. I don't even remember how he debuted at WWE. I was just happy as hell he was there. And you know who wasn't far behind him?
He debuted against Sheik and Volkov. He interfered, and because he didn't like Iran.
He just ran out there with his 2x4. Yeah. And you know who wasn't far behind him?
Who?
That guy.
Well, again, but that's why I looked at this episode. Was kind of funny to me because, again, we could talk about right now the North American Heavyweight Champion, TW, and that's Taylor.
Which is the reason the AEW belt is based off the North American Heavyweight Championship. That's in writing.
Hey, well, AEW's belt looks better than this belt. It looks too big. Maybe it's because
the thing is. I think it was Cody's idea.
Maybe Terry Taylor wasn't perfect for that belt. It's perfect for like Dr. Death. It's perfect for like Duggan. It's not perfect for a short guy like Terry Taylor. But that's neither here nor there. But since I'm talking about why Hacksaw Jim Duggan should have got the ball, should have got the torch. Let's talk about the guy who has the torch to a certain degree. Terry Taylor, Reflectionites, is at this point untapped potential and becoming the North American champion. You are one step from becoming the NWA Heavyweight Champion. And of course, we don't have to talk about the logistics, TW. We already knew that Terry Taylor was doomed to fail because, again, the NWA was still under this bubble of the board. It was still under the bubble of being of a majority vote, and Terry Taylor was not going to get the votes. I'm sorry. I know you like Terry Taylor, but let's be honest.
If you want to look at it, it would look like Ric Flair was wrestling a lesser version of himself. He come out in robes. He had blonde hair. He did the figure 4 leg lock.
Well, no, but because
he also did the flying burrito.
In this episode, he's wearing the jacket. He's looking like an all-American boy from like Wisconsin. Yeah. So he's not looking like the Ric Flair wannabe in a couple of years from now. But Bill Watts is giving him the torch, TW. And there is a story. He was the television champion. He was sick or he was injured. He had to bequeath the title for a little bit. He didn't. The storyline Reflectionites was he didn't know if he was going to be able to wrestle again because of his sickness. Came back, overcame the odds, and in this episode, Reflectionites, there was the first ever Ugandan street fight. It's funny, T. I never heard of a Ugandan street fight until I saw this episode. WWE
not long after that.
There was one thing that I thought, because when I heard the word Ugandan street fight, Vince McMahon dropped the ball because he would have made it funner, if that's a word. He would have put bushes, he would put trees on the sides.
They would have fought in the bushes in the parking lot.
That, and he would have had some stereotypical African tribes just like in the sides. But neither here nor there. That's just logistically just being funny. But TW, Bill Watts put the Ugandan headhunter Kamala up against Terry Taylor for a reason. To build Terry Taylor's street cred. To make us not only invest in him, but believe that he can overcome all the odds and be a credible champion. So let's say about the Ugandan street fight that they showed us here against, Terry Taylor against Kamala with the help of the wingman, Hacksaw Jim Duggan at the end.
I liked that, this might shock the 3 or 4 listeners that hate WWE that we have. I love that Terry Taylor gives up size to Kamala, but they had a wrestling match. It wasn't a squash. It wasn't a big man beating the shit out of a little man match. That's what it would have been in WWE. Terry Taylor, first of all, wouldn't have had a belt. And second of all, he would have been beat in like 5 seconds. Like Umaga wasn't even that big and would beat guys bigger than Terry Taylor quick.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
I like that they had a competitive match. I like that period in wrestling. I think the WWE should do that more. And hey, topical, since we got a little whisper in our ear, everyone's bitching about this match, Omos versus Seth Rollins. Imagine if Seth Rollins gets a good match out of this guy. A Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar, an AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar. Imagine if Seth does that. You think those same people are going to complain about that match? Just let it happen. If it sucks, you had no expectations anyway. If it's good, you should be pleasantly surprised. I like when the small man, remember the saying, what did King Kong Bundy, I think it was him, used to say, a good Bobby Heenan said it about his guys. A good big man beats a good small man every time. I like it when that's not the case. Rey Mysterio beating Kevin Nash. Obviously, there's some shenanigans involved, but I just like it. Daniel Bryan beating Triple H and Batista. I like it. It's the ultimate underdog. But the good thing about Terry Taylor and Kamala, he's not an underdog. They don't just tell you 172 times, Terry stands no chance. They just said, hey, let these 2 guys wrestle and see who wins. And it happened to be a Uganda nightmare match or whatever, street fight. They don't even have streets in Uganda. They got roads.
Well, when you looked at this match, TW, there was really it wasn't about pinfalls or submissions. You had to leave the barricade area. So it was it was the pit. It was more of like a Ugandan pit fight. Just, think about it this way, Reflectionites, and I'm trying to give you a visual. Think of it like a Hell in a Cell without the cage, because that's where, when people could fight a little bit out of the cage with, like 5 feet of room to fight. It's the same thing with the Ugandan street fight here. And of course, with Kamala, he was managed by General Skandar Akbar, untapped potential manager, Devastation Incorporated. And of course, there is another backstory here with this match, TW. General Skandar Akbar was a former North American heavyweight champion himself. So my question to you, TW, not about Skandar Akbar, but again, we have to at least correlate with why Bill Watts gave Terry Taylor the torch. And TW, I want you to defend it because, again, this is your man. And this is 1985. Of course, he's going to challenge Ric Flair in a couple of weeks, maybe at the Omni, maybe in Florida. Of course, he's going to come up short. But can you sell me Terry Taylor? Can we believe that Terry Taylor has a chance to beat Ric Flair? I don't see him as that guy. I could see him as the television champion, especially in 1985. And the reason I'm saying that is because he's the all-American pretty boy, not the charismatic, suave guy with the robes and the suit and the $1,000 suit. I might have believed that
Tailor-made man.
Tailor-made, whatever, the tailor-made man. But I can't believe him as the all-American boy going up against Ric Flair. Sell me, TW. Why Terry Taylor?
I can.
Go ahead.
Because one of the best feuds of all times, especially NWA related, is Ricky Morton versus Ric Flair. And everyone and their brother was hoping Ricky Morton won that belt. And that moment where he came out to the White Snake, Here I Go Again song, and the lights were out, and people had their cigarette lighters out and all that. That was absolute hysteria. The Rock and Roll Express were fucking over, man. Those people thought they were more popular than Hulk Hogan at one point, right? Terry Taylor basically had the pedigree, right? And if you sell it as a younger Flair versus an aging Flair, because take the robes off, they're very similar. They wear tights.
I'm not disputing the technical part.
Right, Buddy Landell, Terry Taylor.
But the presentation, he wasn't Nature Boy-esque. You got to admit that, especially in '85.
But now Steamboat versus Savage, if you had that same match, Terry Taylor versus Ric Flair, and Flair gets caught in a small package by Terry Taylor and he wins the belt, no one is going to be shocked. He was a sound technical wrestler. He had submissions, and I think they said he started doing the figure four to prepare for Ric Flair. And he does the flying burrito. He comes off the top rope. I absolutely would have bought that Terry Taylor could have beat Ric Flair then. Now, of course not. Hindsight, no damn way he was beating him. But I also didn't think Ronnie Garvin would, and he did. And I'm still to this day stunned that A, he did it, and B, he did it in Detroit. Very, very stunned. And it was a steel cage.
Decisions by, the bookers and the decisions by Dusty Rhodes.
That part, yes, the politics. But I'm saying, as a fan watching, I absolutely would not have said Terry Taylor doesn't have a chance. I would have thought Terry's going to beat this motherfucker. That's how I would have felt. It
just, to me, goes back to my conundrum with, not giving Duggan that chance. You know what I mean? That's why I said that he relied on somebody like Terry Taylor, Dr. Death, and Dibiase. And again, no disrespect.
Dr. Death, God rest his soul, had fucking no charisma. Absolutely none. Right?
He just had the brute strength, which is very impressive.
Impressing the one-man gang and picking up
Bundy
and carrying him and power slamming him for the win. That did the talking for him. But much like today's wrestling, let's look at the difference. Can't believe I'm going to do this. The Young Bucks, and who's the dude who just wrecked his leg? Them brothers, Martins.
Top Flight.
Top Flight. Mm-hmm. What's the difference between Top Flight and Young Bucks? Really nothing, except for one thing. The Young Bucks can talk. That's what you have with Ric Flair and Terry Taylor. Ric Flair can talk. Terry wasn't as good at it, right? Got better.
Right.
But DiBiase in today's landscape is Bronson Reed. I mean, not DiBiase, Dr. Death.
Mm-hmm.
The peak, the highest he's going is Bronson Reed. Because look, even when he made it to the WWE, they were building that boxing game for him, and he got knocked out by Bart Gunn, never saw him again. Right? It's just, you're done. Because he has no charisma to speak of. His best days for me, Varsity Club. When you had Kevin Sullivan doing the talking for him, he didn't need to talk. Him, Steiner, and Rotunda. Absolutely. By the way, that's a damn underrated faction right there, is the Varsity Club.
We did a spotlight, remember?
No, I'm just saying in general, it's underrated. Spivey was the last guy to join, right? Didn't Spivey join it? After Rick got booted. But the Young Bucks and the Martins, the Top Flight, would have both been over in the 80s, regardless of being able to talk. Now, one is more over than the other because you got to do more than the moves. Everyone's doing the moves. So you got to do something different. You have to have
you got to stand out some way, shape, or form when 100 wrestlers do the same moves that you do. Reflection.
But those two teams are very comparable in size and moves and ring set, whatever that you call move set. All that stuff is similar. They both have pizzazz with their gear and stuff, but two of them can talk, two of them can't. And apparently one of them's made of fucking glass on the other team.
Well, that sounds to me like 85 Terry Taylor against 85 Ric Flair. One can talk, and then the other one sounds like a boy.
That's exactly what I'm saying. But it worked in 85. It would not work. It would not work in 2023.
And we move on, TW, with this episode. And what was going on in 1985, which also made me chuckle because I thought of you because of the last episode. You was very critical of the U.S. title tournament on
you picked another
WCW Saturday night. And right here with this episode of Reflection Ice from April of 1985, we were knee deep into the TV title tournament. This was week number 5, Reflection Nights, of the first round of the television tournament. And it had Hacksaw Jim Duggan against a young up-and-comer himself, Dr. Tom Pritchard, but he wasn't called Doctor just yet. But, of course, you could see the untapped potential. But, TW, I thought of you. I chuckled. And, again, this proves my point. It's not the heavyweight title. So any lower-tier titles needs a long story. It can drag out. There's nothing wrong with that. Your sentiment of the one-night tournament for the heavyweight championship is still palpable, except for what Vince Russo did in the 90s with the couple of week tournament for the heavyweight title, which was stupid. I ain't gonna go into that. But My argument has been palpable. Lower tier titles like the television title here and $10,000, mind you, and like the U.S. title tournament last week, it can be long drawn out. But I cringe asking you this question. You probably did not like this 5th week of the first round of the TV title tournament.
Listen, if you did each round by the week, I'm on board. Especially if you make 16 guys. Because you're going to have 8 matches, and we could even do that in 2 weeks. So you have 3 weeks in a row of 4 matches, right? You don't want to oversaturate it with fucking 8 matches. That's a pay-per-view, and that's a long pay-per-view. You did that. Week 1 is 1/2 bracket. No, you can't even do that because then you're giving unfair advantage to somebody. No, you do got to do that because.
Well, I don't know. I don't know the bracket of the TV title tournament. I'm just laughing that this was week 5 of the first round.
What I'm telling you, what would make me meet you in the middle with this fucking dragged out, not having a championship bullshit champion. You know, I'll tell you this. I like it over interim champion any day of the week. Just let a motherfucker be champion until he comes back. If he's not coming back for 3 months, give him a waiver. Then in 3 months, he defends the belt. He's still the champion. Whatever. I digress. But you got 16 people. You got 2 sides of the bracket. Bracket A is this week. Next week's bracket B. And then the next week, everyone that won fights. Right? And
you want clarity in such a short amount of time.
I at least want a format. Not, this match is in the tournament. Oh, not this one. This one's not in the tournament. That one is. This one might be. We're not sure. We're going to have one more tomorrow night on main event. It's just dumb. If you have 8 singles matches on your 2-hour program, why can't they all be the tournament?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
That would make a fucking must. That should be your Clash of Champions. Should be U.S. tournament.
This is Mid-South, so they're not talking about that.
Clash was called.
I don't know what their clash was called, but maybe they were saving it for the Superdome. Who knows what big event that Bill Watts was saving this for? But in this particular round, Reflection Nights, we had Hacksaw Jim Duggan going up against Dr. Tom Pritchard. And the funny thing about it was Hacksaw won by countout because Dr. Tom Pritchard, refused to get punished by Hacksaw Jim Duggan. But that's not what the funny part was.
Tommy Pritchard.
Well, Tommy Pritchard. But the funny part was Tommy Pritchard's promo after all this. He knew he fucked up. It was funny to me. He was like, I know I'm not a smart I know I'm not a dumb man. And I know I was born that night, but not last night. He messed up his own promo, and I'm laughing my ass off. You could see that he knew what he wanted to say. He knew he had some character, and he wanted to have some pizzazz, but he just kind of fucked it up. So I know that Bill Watts
was back on. Was it Terry that he turned his back on?
Well, I don't know the logistics, but he probably turned his back on. Well,
because they're saying for that TV title, he cost himself some friends and then loses in the first round.
Well, the pillars of Mid-South at this point is either Terry Taylor, Hacksaw.
We're using the pillars now.
We have to. It's either Terry Taylor, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Dr. Death. I don't know where Dibiase is on the pillar because sometimes he was a good guy, sometimes he was a bad guy. So I'm assuming that the 3 pillars that I'm talking about are good guys, and Dibiase was the odd man out. So what say you, TW, about Pritchard's fuck-up promo?
He did. He botched it, but it let you know it was live, at least live recorded.
For that.
But I'm glad he went out and did that because I literally, when they called him Tommy Pritchard, I'm like, this fucking guy was a jobber in Mid-South, but he wasn't. You
got to start somewhere, TW. Nobody is.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere. Level. But I mean, Tom Pritchard has it. I mean, to me, he's by far the better of the 2 Pritchards.
It's almost like saying Michael Hickenbottom. He had it, but he had to start somewhere too. TW. You don't know.
Yeah, but he was Michael Hickenbottom. He wasn't Tom Pritchard. Change your fucking name. I'm saying, don't use your real name.
You don't know who Michael Hickenbottom is?
Shawn Michaels.
Okay, so
that's what I'm saying.
Start somewhere.
I'm saying he wasn't Shawn Michaels. He was Michael Hickenbottom. When my guys, my dudes that I wrestled with around here,
and he's Tommy Pritchard, not Dr. Tom Pritchard. So there you got to start somewhere.
But he also wasn't a jobber. He had a character, and they had an interview with him. So I was relieved.
Okay.
Jack Victory, I think, wasn't a jobber, even though he got beat pretty handily as a jobber. But the guys that I wrestled with who would go down to Atlanta and do jobs once a month or go to New York and do jobs, they didn't wrestle as Cuckoo the Wild Samoan. They wrestled as Tommy Torres. That's what you do when you're doing jobs. You don't use your gimmick. You don't wear your gear. Like, I'm looking at Superstar Bill Dundee. I think it was Jack Victory that he fought. And I'm like, this little motherfucker looks like Omar Atlas or Phil Rangans or Reno Riggins. He just looks like a jobber, yet he has Superstar and a star on there. And obviously he won, so they were pushing him. But could you imagine?
But you know the beauty of this, TW, and I don't mean to cut you off, but because it's the Mid-South, because of these territories, because of the NWA bubble system, look at someone like you said, Superstar Bill Dundee, somebody like Kamala. They can be there for about 4 weeks, kick ass, sell tickets and all that stuff. And if they lose or whatever, they can move on to Tennessee. If they lose, they could go to the Carolinas. If they lose, they can go to Texas or whatever the case may be, as long as they're under the NWA bubble system. And then you can come back in what say you, like in 2 months, fresh, 0-0 in the win-loss column. You don't really care. You're back in the territories to make a name for yourself. So it keeps you fresh. And that's the thing that's missing, especially in WWE and AEW and all that stuff, is because
TV.
You're not
missing in TV.
No,
it's a lot easier to keep people away when it's 1 hour of television a week.
That too, but it's oversaturation. But also TV time is. What is it?
Guess what I bought yesterday?
I don't know.
May 10th.
Oh, okay.
Detroit Rock City, Little Caesars Arena. I will be going to my second AEW show.
Cool.
Dynamite and Rampage. So really 3 and 4.
And when is it again?
May 10th.
That's a Wednesday? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks and 2 days. And then in August, I'm going to watch Cody Rhodes win the world title at SummerSlam.
Look at this. Big spender here. See? Inflation hasn't affected TW no matter what. But
I saved all my money from the Trump years, and now I'm going low.
There you go. But anyway, again, with the territory system, you even said it. I mean, again, oversaturation or the precious TV time now in 2023, we will point out who's not on TV. We will point out who needs to be on TV.
We talked about one.
Maybe the mindset is different in the 80s because of the territories. It's better to not be on TV every week. It's better to go to another territory and kick ass there and then come back, because then your stock is as high as it can be.
People miss you.
There you go. So that's
bands come to a city once a year. They don't come once a fucking week. They came once a week. No one would come see them after a few weeks. You gotta go away.
Unless you're really hardcore.
They can't miss you if you're not gone.
That's the point we're trying to make, Reflectionites. But again, what worked in 85 does not work in 2023, and that's the hardcore reality there.
The second you're not on TV, the fucking IWC, this motherfucker's not being used right.
Absolutely.
Where's your boy Miro?
He's living his best life with Lana. Lana's making all that money, and Miro's getting a paycheck. Right,
so they can't extend his contract. They're just not coming to agreement on.
He's he's already under a 4-year deal, so he's just getting paid.
It's been 2.
He's got 2 more years left. So what? He's not complaining.
No.
But let's just go back into this here, because I wanted to point out the difference between the sports entertainment, Vince McMahon, and the professional wrestling, the real sport atmosphere. And we have to talk about it. And you said it just for a little bit. You kind of glanced about it, but I have to focus on it. Jake the Snake Roberts. He was teaming up with Nord the Barbarian. That's not really the issue here. The issue is the presentation of Jake Roberts. In the Carolinas, he was very basic. He already had the nickname the Snake. He already, we already know how diabolical Jake the Snake is.
It's Cape Fear.
But what Vince McMahon did so eloquently good was give you a visual. And whether maybe, I don't even know if Jake the Snake even liked it. Maybe he might have not liked it. But I think Vince told him, you need to have snake on your pants. You need to have that symbol. If we're going to call you Jake the Snake, we want you to have snake. We want the visual to match the name. Maybe the Damien was a little bit of an overreach, but it turned out to
not be in a land of Matilda.
No. But again, I'm talking about the mentality of Jake the Snake being in the Carolinas. My name is Jake the Snake Robert. I don't need to have a snake I already know who I am.
Right.
The snake is more symbolic of what I am. But in Vince McMahon's world, the visual accentuated the name too. So what's AETW about Jake the Snake here?
It's funny you would say that, because if anyone looked at Jake the Snake WWF versus Jake the Snake Mid-South and said he looked better in Mid-South, they're fucking lying. That he was in this match with Nord the Barbarian and these two jobbers, he looked like as soon as he was done wrestling, he went back to the back, grabbed a mop and a bucket, and finished cleaning up the hallway of the school, because he looked like a janitor. When he was in WWF, he looked like a star, and on top of looking like a star, you were scared shitless of this guy. And if you weren't scared of him, you were scared of his damn snake. And what is one of my favorite quotes? Don't say snake, Bobby. That snake is what made Andre the Giant lose to Jake the Snake, because Jake had him by the mental fear of that snake. And it was just Jake the Snake in WWF is, and I'm saying F because that's what it was, he's an absolute legend. Jake the Snake in Mid-South is not.
Mm-hmm. I'm not even disputing that. I'm thinking the visual presentation.
I don't know if I'm agreeing with you, but I fully endorse McMahon enhance. I thought you were going to say what Vince does is take what you have and enhance it, because you've said that before about taking people's ideas and making them bigger.
Right. He must have enhanced it, but I'm thinking again, maybe Jake the Snake has a mentality of being in the Southern wrestling territory. He's like, this might be stupid. I don't know. Maybe he might have been standoffish a little bit, but again, if Vince McMahon is paying you buku dollars, all right, fuck it, give me the fucking snake. I'll carry it. I don't give a
Jake was probably like, motherfucker, I already got a snake. I'll bring him on the next trip. Just pay me. Mm-hmm. That's what Jake the Snake's mentality is. And I met the guy. He's a nice guy, and he's a businessman. He's mm-hmm. a very cerebral person. That wasn't just a gimmick. It's him. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to see him. You know, I know he's relapsed here and there, but I'm happy to see that guy has turned his life around. I'm happy he has a home in AEW and somehow still makes the WWE video games. The guy must be super cool in the back, because everybody loves him, and including me. I like him. I don't like what he did in this match. I thought it was very Nasty Boy-esque how he killed this poor bastard. And I started telling you, but we kind of talked over each other. He then sat on his butt and kicked this dude out of the ring. And I'm like, you don't even know that dude's conscious. And he just kicked him right out of the ring, which was a thing I was taught back then. In 85, obviously 9 years later, mm-hmm. I was taught, when you lose, get the fuck out of the ring. And if you didn't, pay attention. Whenever we do old stuff and we watch it, Professor, pay attention to what the heel does to the guy that doesn't get out of the ring after he loses. Which the poor bastard's selling your move, and then you mm-hmm. get Shawn Michaels. I can't remember what match it was. I think it was Brett. I think it was the Iron Man match. When he won, he looked down at Brett and said, "Get the fuck out of here," and kicked him while he was still laying on the ground. And I just was like, "Ooh, that's fucking ready for a fist fight," because he's like, "This is my moment."
What had happened was that he stole Jake the Snake Roberts' 85 ring rat. So that's called a receipt. So I have I'm on Jake the Snake's side. You don't steal somebody's ring rat. That when you go into Oklahoma.
When you say 85, do you think she was born in 85? Because that would make her a baby. Do you think she was 85 years old? Because that would make her.
I'm just saying, you know, the legal age, the current rat for 1985 purposes
in that town.
And that guy stole his ring rat. So that's all that we already know, that Jake the Snake had a receipt for that dude. But neither here nor there.
While we're talking about rats, I'd like to name drop once more this fellow right here.
Marty
told me he had a rat in every town and somewhere to stay, and he kept the trans and the hotel money because he had somewhere to go in every town. Mm-hmm. Also a businessman who wasted his money on stuff he shouldn't have wasted it on. Well, you knew I was going to say Marty. That's fucking hilarious.
Of course. I said ring rats. I knew you were going to go with Marty Jannetty. But anyway, we can't talk about Mid-South Wrestling without talking about the token black guy here. And I'm not talking about Kamala, the Ugandan headhunter.
Absolutely stunned this guy wasn't in WWE. Stunned.
But we can talk about Brickhouse Brown, the man with the jerry curl. He had a little ponytail. The match was not inconsequential, Reflectionites. What really got me was the fans in the studio. I was panning the fans, TW, and I found the one black guy. He was dancing. He was shucking and jiving.
When you came down the ring and turned left, he was in the middle. Over on the left.
But you can visibly see the black guy shucking and jiving along with Brickhouse Brown, who was coming out with a boombox. And, again, I know this where he is. I know the town he's in, and I know the situation that he has to do. And, of course, like you say, he's a businessman. But, of course, we know that there are perils for African-American wrestlers, especially going to Mid-South, especially trying to entertain. And I'm not saying that the white fan base was not entertained by Brickhouse Brown. They gave him a standing ovation. Again, I'm not going to say, oh, they're racist because, they think that he's, this and that. I'm not going to judge anybody's character. No. But you and I know, TW, that the reality is that, of course, Brickhouse Brown had some disadvantages and he had to overcome that. And of course, he had a very decent wrestling career. But what say you about Brickhouse Brown? He was very athletically gifted, no matter what. We have to talk about that.
Let me clarify what I mean, but I'm surprised he was never ever in WWE because he would do jobs on like primetime wrestling or Saturday morning superstars, but it would be competitive. Like it wasn't like he got squashed. But first of all, you said Token and then said Kamala. We've already talked about the real wrestling thing, which was a clip of Butch Reed with his eye looking like my eye right here. Mm-hmm. And but Brickhouse Brown, you're gonna get excited and think I'm sliding in your DMs, but I'm not.
Oh boy.
I think you're saying they made him do the boombox and shuck and jive, whatever you said. But I'm gonna tell you that in 1985, I'm the white dude in the all black school, neighborhood, whatever. That shit that he was doing was popular.
Let me just say this. It's funny because you said Kamala and Butch Reed. Mm-hmm. They were both heels, yes. Kamala was playing a stereotype, but nobody, that's a different situation. The reason I jokingly say Token Black is Brickhouse's presentation with the rap, with the boombox, and I say shucking and jiving to cater to the white audience there. And
you know who else shuck and jived? Superstar Bill Dundee, motherfucker. He did a little shuffle in the ring a couple times. But hear me out. Mm-hmm. 1985, this dude, and this is where you're going to get excited, think I'm sliding your DMs.
Again?
He's a good-looking dude. That look would never translate today, right?
He's got the Jerry curl. He's got the Jerry curl.
He's got the tail in the back. He's absolutely built like a brick shithouse. And he can... He's an athletic dude, right? And he's good-looking guy in the face. He almost looks like Eric LaSalle in Coming to America, the Soul Glow commercials, or whatever the commercial was in the Coming to America. That in 1985, what he looked like was the dude from Ready for the World, Oh Sheila. That was their look. So that dude coming to the ring with that boombox and that look, I had one issue with him, and you're gonna know what it is.
No knee pads.
He had them, but they were around his fucking boot instead of on his knees. And I think he only had one.
Oh, they were? I thought that was a big boot.
He had a green boot with a black knee pad. I'm like, all right, he's got him on. Then I looked, and I'm like, what the fuck is the other one? And it was further down his boot, or it wasn't there. But I'm like, damn it, Brickhouse, you'd have made it if you'd have had fucking knee pads. But this guy, he had it. He had charisma. And so think about it. The three guys we just mentioned, which is why I brought him up, not to make you feel bad about saying Token. The other two guys made it to the WWE and got over. And Butch Reed wrestled Hulk Hogan for the world title. We know Kamala did. Kamala in the casket match with Undertaker. They went on a big, better Junkyard Dog. Four, in case you're counting. All made it, and this dude didn't. And this guy is the Rock and Roll Express. He's the Hulk Hogan. He's the guy with the charisma who can get over and he can move. And he never made it there, man. And it's like, how?
But again, you understand there are perils, there are disadvantages for an African-American wrestler.
Right,
so
absolutely.
There could have been politics.
But I'm going to go positive for you. I'm going to put a positive on you. There weren't that many of them. So it was easier to be the guy who got picked because there was less competition if they were looking to have a black guy, right? Coco made it. Kamala made it. JYD made it. Butch Reed made it. Eventually Rod Simmons made it. But we're getting into the 90s there. But in the 80s, S.T. Jones, even though he's a jobber, he got a fucking toy. He had two. There were two toys we talked about on this show. How the hell did Brickhouse Brown not make it? That's what they're so scary.
How did he not make it to the NWA?
Yes.
How did he not make it to Carolina?
I do think I saw Brickhouse Brown versus Ric Flair for the title once, but it was again Saturday night, like the same deal where he would
maybe he might have fought Ric Flair, but he was under the Mid-South umbrella. I don't think he was.
That's something.
Crockett.
Yeah, I just think I seen it.
I'm saying if he didn't make it to Crockett, then he didn't make it at all. That's just me. He just stayed in that territory bubble with Mid-South, Tennessee, and maybe World Cup.
The simple answer for why he didn't make it in NWA is we've talked about it a million times. It's the fucking South. That's where it's going to be harder for him. But how does he not get taken to New York and get over? I'm going to have to do some research because he must have turned him down or something because he didn't want to go on the road. But this dude,
what happened
he just
was
died recently too, by the way.
What had happened was the Underground Railroad got closed up, so he couldn't go up north. So,
but that might not go over well with the audience. I don't know. I don't know how many of the 13 are going to get offended by that one, but you understand what I'm saying.
If the 13 listen, then you know what.
Of Brickhouse Brown as a kid with very limited exposure to him. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if him coming out with that boombox was his idea because it was being modern, right? He wasn't being Savannah Jack. That's fucking more racist than anything else. Calling your ass Savannah Jack? That sounds like you belong in the South, motherfucker. But
I don't want to get into this deep, but I'll say this. There is no difference the way that Brickhouse Brown came down to the ring except visually, in comparison to Iceman King Parsons, because Iceman did the same shit, and he came out to he didn't come out to rap. Well, you know they could get away with that, but that
too hot, again, too cool, whatever the fuck they were calling too cool.
But you get what I'm saying. But again, the reason
I see where it could be seen as a stereotype. Yeah, but I'm saying as someone who was alive in 1985. And the Rock and Roll Express were trying to look like Bon Jovi and Motley Crue. I think Brickhouse Brown was trying to look like popular music on the radio, Ready for the World or Prince. He almost had a Prince hair, but Ready for the World looked like younger pretty boy princes is what they looked like because that was the look in '85. And I think it was him trying to look modern, current.
There you go. But again, he had hurdles in the South. So with that,
absolutely. Undeniably. But how the fuck all them other guys made it and he didn't? Absolutely. Savannah Jack.
Or maybe he just loves staying. Remember, some wrestlers just love staying in the territories. He had to turn him down because Savannah Jack, to me, always looked like an old man. So he had a good moveset. He looked good, but he looked like Norman Smiley, without the Norman Smiley charisma, because Norman Smiley obviously has charisma. So Savannah Jack not making it doesn't surprise me. JYD had charisma. Coco had charisma. Butch Reed was like your quintessential 80s badass wrestler, black or white. So I understand why Uganda Nightmare, he had a good look and scary look. It's perfect to feed him to Hogan with the other big guys. But Brickhouse Brown could have been their top babyface black dude. And it's I will never ever, unless someone tells me with reason why that dude never made it there. Because other guys did. If no one made it there, I'd understand it. It would be obvious. It would be obvious why. But the fact that other guys did, Virgil had no fucking charisma. That guy made a fucking career out of being there. Okay, we're not going to do the black episode. We already did that.
We're not.
Go back to the episode. Go back to the archive.
I don't even care the part that he's black. I'm saying, period. Why did Brickhouse Brown not make it? The guy had it.
Again, maybe he just loved being local.
He had family. Maybe his family sold some cars Monday through Friday. Wanted to wrestle locally. I get it. But man, I got to find out because the dude was a star to me.
Before we close out on this episodic episode, because there's nearly nothing left, because at the end, TW, there was a video montage, and I want to kind of not talk about that really, because I just want to just point it out here. With Bill Watts taking pot shots at Vince McMahon's Rock and Wrestling, kind of shitting on it to a degree, how did he end this show? But with a video montage of Ted DiBiase, he's coming back after his 30-day suspension or 30-day hiatus or whatever. How they book, you must leave.
He's coming back from another territory.
Right. So it's kind of funny to me that, he did a rock and roll montage video. So you're actually giving praises to not only Vince McMahon, but of course, Fritz Von Erich, Jerry Lawler, because they understood the evolution of wrestling. You needed the video montage presentation. So there's really nothing to kind of
But you're you're also making your guy look better than their guys because almost everyone in that video was someone that had gone to somewhere else and they showed Dibiase beating them.
But that's the rule. You must show your guy.
Yeah.
In the
But they also didn't insult them. He said they were heavy hitters and he took them out, meaning that's why they're gone, whatever. But here's the secondary reason why I think you picked this episode. Because I just talked about it recently. Okay. In 1995, this guy was my agent in my one cup of coffee in a WCW locker room. Mm-hmm. And in 2005, 10 years later, this guy was my agent when I was a druid for The Undertaker. And that's why you picked it, because this show was centered around these two guys.
Of course. I always give you homage on that. But before we close, TW, at least I got to pay homage to somebody who is coming up with a rep, who is coming up with some street cred. Because in 1985 purposes, he's untapped potential who's going to become one of the top heels in the business, one of the top minds of the professional wrestling business. And that's Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. This is way before Hot Stuff International. This is way before he gets the booking sheet for NWA or ECW, TW, or even USWA. Because in 1983, he was getting the shit kicked out of him by like the Iron Sheik or Sergeant Slaughter. I forget, in WWF. He was a jobber. He was a good hand. Like
he was contracted though. He wasn't just a jobber. He was under contract.
No, but he was a good hand. But he goes to the territories. He works on his rep, and now he's in the Mid-South area. Grows his beard because the year before that he was already in Mid-South, and he had an angle with the new Fabulous Ones with Wildfire Tommy Rich, which made the aftermaths to a degree reflectionize. But Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert is in the Mid-South, and you already could see something is a brewing. He just doesn't have that look yet because he's in an army gear. He's trying to be General Patton and trying to have his stable yet, but I think he hasn't fine-tuned it yet. He knows what he wants. He just needs to find the right niche, if you know what I mean, TW. What say you about seeing Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert here and knowing what's going to happen, really?
It's funny because I wouldn't have known up and comer because I just see Eddie Gilbert and I just, okay. Eddie Gilbert is UWF. As much as I like Dibiase, as much as I like Terry Taylor, as much as I like Dr. Death and Duggan and the Fantastics and Chris Adams and Savannah Jack, you cannot talk about UWF and not talk about Eddie Gilbert, Hot Stuff, Hyatt International, Sting, Rick Steiner, Eddie Gilbert, Missy Hyatt ran that shit. I even think the Freebirds were aligned with him at some point, but then they turned good guy. They were against them or whatever the fuck. I don't know. But Eddie Gilbert is a sad, sad tale because that guy, this dude is 4 foot nothing, but talks the talk of a 6'9" Sid Vicious looking motherfucker and backed it up either through friends or fireballs or whatever he did. Eddie Gilbert, to me, you look around this room, man, if I'll tear up. If there's something missing from this guy's fucking this collection, it's something Eddie Gilbert, man. I wish that damn Pro Wrestling Illustrated crate would sign with whoever the hell they need to sign with to put out some Eddie Gilbert shit because that guy deserves way more credit than he ever gets, and it's because I think he died in 93 or 94. Like he's been gone 30 years, and of course this is the usual suspect, drugs. Good Lord, man, the guy had a mind for the business, and for being he's probably 5'6", 5'7", whatever the fuck. But the dude was the first wrestling manager, really. Everyone else was a manager that used to be a wrestler. This dude was a wrestling manager who wrestled and managed and was DDP ended up becoming one. But Eddie Gilbert, man, it's good to see him on here. And I think, we didn't even talk about him. Kevin Kelly was the guy doing the job in the match with the mask guy. What do you call him? The
Nightmare.
The Nightmare, who by the way was drizzling shits. And I couldn't figure out who the hell he was under the mask because I was going to try to do that for you. But the only thing he did mess up is he tells us how he's the greatest wrestler to ever wear the tights and whatever, and then tells you this guy's going to be the greatest wrestler you've ever seen or laid your eyes on, and then says again, I might be the best guy to ever lace him up. Like, you just said you were, then you said he is, and now you're saying you might be. It was all over. It gives credence to Vince in the scripts.
No, but again, that's why I said he hasn't fine-tuned what he wants to be.
He's on his way, though.
He's on his way. I didn't like the Army fatigue, but I knew where he was going with
weird.
it. Yeah. But I knew where he was going with it. And again, he's 2 years away, predating from getting his ass whipped by Iron Sheik. So that's a 2-year jump to get to the point of being.
And 2 years from that, he is UWF.
There you go.
Is the company. And then he was Booker for WCW before he died. He quit there and then went to that Continental and died. But yeah,
he was Booker for ECW too before
when it was Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
big place in my heart for Eddie Gilbert is the point.
Absolutely. And with that being said, we close on this episodic episode 169 of the PWR Podcast here at the Hameen Media Group at podbean.com. What are we going to do next week, Reflectionites? Because, you know what? We've been working hard, TW. So, one more episode and then we'll go on a 2-week vacation. We'll take a week off. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we deserve a week off. You know what I'm saying? But we got to do a spotlight. And we haven't done... And I've been wanting to do this spotlight for a long time because I've actually said this for myself. Remember we talked about with the What If, there was the other show we wanted to do? Untapped Potential. It's time, Reflectionites, it's time for me to do the Untapped Pro Wrestling Spotlight of a man who should have been bigger than what he was. And that is Too Cold Scorpio. It's time to do the Pro Wrestling Spotlight Untapped Potential Edition. And we're going to pay respects. He's not dead, of course, but I'm going to tweet this to him and say, we're going to do one for you. We're going to put some matches. I'm going to give you some Japan matches, TW. I'm going to give you some WCW. I'm going to give you some ECW. I might give you a Flash Funk WWF match to watch. So I'm going to give you a lot of stuff. He is still wrestling to this day, but I'm not going to try to give you a lot of shit. I'm just going to try to give you the best stuff. What say you, TW? And then
Fun
we're
fact.
Get out.
Fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
If not the first name that I ever conversed with as a wrestler in a locker room, because my first 4 matches, there were no names on the shows. But the first match I did in the United States, Flash Funk, or Too Cold, wrestled Sabu in Lincoln Park, Michigan, and they broke the ring. Not scripted. The motherfucker broke. And then they wrestled another 15 minutes in a ring that was in a pile and tore the roof off the place. But he is the very first name that I ever asked to watch my match and give me pointers if he didn't mind. And he did it. He absolutely did it. And he gave me constructive criticism. He didn't blow any smoke up my ass. He flat out told me, it looked like you guys have done that before. I go, yeah. He goes, yeah. Try to take the robotics out of it and put more personality in and more feeling into it. And he goes, but you guys did some good stuff. And I was like, wow, that was honesty. We were just going through the motions. And he saw it and he told me, but to this day, I am always going to be grateful for that guy, because if that would have went sour, I never would have asked another guy to do it. And because of him, one guy that I did ask to do it, who also did it, was Cactus Jack. And he gave me constructive criticism. But Too Cold Scorpio, nice dude. And it's always fun to be able to name drop. So I liked your pick. I thought you were going because of our
not yet. Not yet. It will be. We just say, but this one's for me. It's for the professor. Yeah, no, I must make myself happy.
If I can, I probably won't be able to. I'm going to ask around and see if I can find match that Sabu versus Too Cold Scorpio match in Lincoln Park and send it to you. I'm going to ask.
That might be a camcorder,
it's
right
100%
there.
100% a camcorder. Yeah. but someone might have put it on YouTube. Is what I'm saying.
All right. So TW, give out those socials so we can finally get out of here.
All righty. The Pro Wrestling Coalition Network sponsors us at PWC Network at podbean.com. I don't know if I should say sponsors, host us, because there's none of this. But Hameen Media Group can be seen at Hameen Media Group at podbean.com or at channelattitude.com. Hameen Media Group. Our show's on Twitter at PW Reflection. Big Ray, obviously. Anything you want. If you're on a social media app, you just type in at Big Ray Hernandez. You'll find him on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and whatever else you're looking for him on. My Twitter is TommyWonder19, and that's also my Instagram. But my other Twitter, where I'm a little more nicer, is at the Tommy Wonder, which is also my TikTok. Facebook.com/Tommy Wonder. Snapchat is #Wonder. and then Facebook.com. I already said that shit. I'm getting ahead of myself. But Big Vito and Noel, you can find them at bigvitobrand.wixsite.com, patreon.com/the Big Vito Brand. And then if you want to watch the early release of the Reflection video, you watch it at Twitch TV/the Big Vito Brand.
And you can follow me on my Twitter at PWSOPROF. That's PWSOPROF. And like you said, if this gets uploaded by A-Track Brown, this will be on the PWSO networks, on the YouTubes. Follow my brothers in arms, Billy Ray Valentine at Obi-Wan You Know Me, and the King of the Reactions, 8-Track Brown at the number 8, TRAC Brown. And again, next week, we're going to do a Pro Wrestling Spotlight Untapped Potential Edition. I hope I'm not disrespecting the man because, I might tweet this to him. So, I hope you don't block me, but Too Cold Scorpio, you deserve a spotlight. And this because I'm one of your biggest fans, and I've followed you from WCW.
He was ahead of his time.
He was very ahead of his time. So that's why we want to give the homage to Too Cold Scorpio. And with that being said, I'm the professor. That's Mr. Wonderful, Dum Dum Doo and Idiot Zone, Dr. Freaking Stein. Tommy Wonder saying good night, and we'll see you next time here at the PWR Podcast. Peace!
He's a brick house.
If he came out with that song, that would have killed his career.
Not really. The White Zombie version.
That came out in the 90s.